Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I'm Jeffrey Darty. Welcome to the new Cosmic Knowledge channel. And I think I have something tonight that's going to be pretty close to life-changing for a lot of people. Happy to see everyone crowding in the chat room already. That's great. And I just drank something, went down the wrong pipe, so I apologize for that. But I want to let you know that tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, I'll be having a great sit down with Jay Campbell, and we're rolling back out the last stand. We're the last generation of real humans. We're going to talk about the cabal. We're going to talk about the rising consciousness. We're going to talk about the sick care system. We're going to talk about the right supplements and tactics to take in order for you to overcome and be healthy, and both spiritually and physically in these last days. I'm at an Airbnb, so I'm not at Sandra's house. But on July 25th, it'll be our house where we're moving into, so we're looking forward to it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hello, Rocky Stucci. Rocky, please let me know when you can get together for a show with Sandra and myself. It's going to have to be now after July 1st, and we're ready to go. And first of all, I need to tell on myself, and I need to give you a disclaimer. Situation this morning with Sandra and I thought I was right. I crossed my arms and I set my jaw and I planted my feet and I wasn't going to move, with predictable results. So after the smoke cleared, of course I'm kidding, my best friend happened to call me, and still feeling justified, even though I wasn't, I told him the situation, and he said, so I said, so what do you think? And I don't know if we have our young listeners listening, but I would say earmuffs here, because what he said to me was, I think you're acting like a poussoir, if we want to wax a little French and, make it sound a little bit better. But he said, yeah, you're being a poussoir. I'm like, you're my best friend for 44 years, and that's what you got to say to me? But he was right. And it was a learning lesson for me. So sometimes, you see these people sit in front of you on a YouTube screen, or stand behind a pulpit, or sit behind a big desk in a corner office, and you think they know what they're doing. You think they've got no problems. You think they've got no difficulties. You think wrong. We all have problems. We all have difficulties. We all make mistakes, and we're all learning. And a person who's not making mistakes isn't learning. And ladies and gentlemen, you're not looking at a person that isn't learning. But today I learned a good lesson on what not to do to facilitate a perfectly harmonious and high-frequency relationship. And I learned. And I was being a earmuffs poussoir. So, and then he said, by the way, Jeff, what are you going to teach about tonight? And I told him, and he says, whoa, wait a minute, brother. You can't do that. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, my wife had a girlfriend who was involved in an abusive physical relationship. She was involved in a relationship of the sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic brand. And this person was controlling. This person was manipulative. This person was domineering. This person had her in a bad place. And she would hear messages like about what you're going to talk about, and it would make her stay. And it almost cost her life. So what I first want to say to you is, if you're in a relationship that is sociopathic, psychopathic, narcissistic, and we're working with 3 ladies right now, Sandra and I, and we'll work with you too. If you're in that place of that type of a relationship, and if you're in a relationship that's manipulative, that's controlling, that's domineering, the first thing you have to do right now is get out. Thank you, Monkey Audition, Moonlight Dance. It's all, Jay Campbell, Sandra, D, and a little bit of me just following instructions. But you have to get out, because loving your enemies, the inexplicable alchemy of loving your enemies, falls under the second part of what the Christ, Jesus, the Lord, Yeshua, the Master, whatever you call him. It falls under the second part of what he said is the greatest commandment. Here's the greatest commandment. Love your neighbor like you love yourself. Now, loving your enemies clearly comes under what? Loving your neighbor. But in order to love your neighbor properly, what do you have to do? You have to love yourself. And the first part of loving yourself is protect yourself. So if you're in one of those type of relationships, the first thing you have to do is get out, and get out today, get out as soon as you possibly can. And I'm just going to share a vision with you. And this is down the road. But what we want to do, Sandra and I, is we want to create a situation where we can create some sort of a foundation that would be not for profit, or just not a foundation, but a fund that people can contribute to. And there can be a fund for mostly women, but it might be for men too, for people that are in a situation where they're being dominated, controlled, manipulated, psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic, but they literally can't afford to get out. They want to get out, but they can't afford to. And we can be in a place where we can offer to them short-term loans to be able to get into an apartment, and they can pay those back at low or no interest because nobody's making any money, but the money goes right back into the fund, and it gives people the feeling of accomplishment that they got out and they did something for themselves. So we're going to try to work to create that, to create an emergency relief fund, if you will, for people trapped in narcissistic relationships, like, the PSNs that can't get out. And the only thing that's keeping them from getting out is $500, $600, $700, $1,000 to get a deposit and move into a place. So, and we're working with people that are in that situation. And Tracy talks about a safe house. So that's what we want to do. We want to get to that place where we can help provide not only counseling help, we can actually provide physical help to people in the greatest needs. And they'd have to apply, and we wouldn't be sending the money to them. We'd send it right to the place that they got the house, that kind of a thing. So that's one of our goals and our visions down the road. But if you're in a relationship that's manipulative, controlling, obsessive, PSN, psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic, you got to get out. And the Christ, Jesus, the Lord, the Master said, love yourself first. You don't start loving your neighbor, which is what I'm going to go into now, calling favor and praying for your enemies, until you've got yourself to a place of safety. So first of all, you get yourself out. And then from a safe distance, you start to love your enemy. You start to pray for those that despitefully use you. You start to do good to those that are torturing you. And I'm going to get into the actual scriptures today and show you from the actual word, so that you'll know I'm not just whistling Dixie down here in Dixie. So first thing first, if you're an empath, if you're a highly sensitive person, if you're in a relationship where you're being dominated, manipulated, controlled, get out. Your first responsibility is to yourself, to get yourself, love yourself first. That's what the Christ said. Get to a safe distance, and then you can begin to apply the inexplicable alchemy of loving your enemies, because the first thing you got to do is get yourself safe and get yourself secure. So having said that, let's go into the scriptures right now, and let's show you what we're talking about here, because some of you don't even believe that Christ said it. I remember that I didn't like this verse. I've read the Bible over 100 times. I have over 100,000 hours of studying in the Bible. 100 times reading, it's real conservative. But anyway, here's the Master, Jesus the Christ, Yeshua, whatever you call him. Love your enemies. Bless those that curse you. Do good to them that hate you. Pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. I don't think this is King James. And I know some of you, bless God, love the King James. So let's make sure we're talking King James. Love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, pray for them that despitefully use you and persecute you. This does not apply to you if you are in an abusive, controlling, narcissistic relationship. I got to say that again. It doesn't apply to you, because this is love your neighbor stuff. Before you love your neighbor, you got to love because the Christ said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Can't love your neighbor till you love yourself. Getting yourself free and clear and safe is loving yourself. And then you can begin to do this from a distance. I think I've harped on that enough, but it's that important. So let's go and look at the original language. What I'm doing is I click on this word interlinear. And what it does, and we'll go to Matthew 5:44, because that's what we're talking about. It takes us to the actual original Greek writing of the New Testament scriptures. And we can see the Greek words, and we can see the literal rendering of the English words. And every one of these things that are blue is a hyperlink. So we can know when the master said, love your enemies, what did he say? And this will blow you away. He said, agapeo your enemies. Agapeo your enemies. What does agapeo mean? It means to love, but more than that, ladies and gentlemen, not to give you a Greek lesson, but there's 3 words in the Greek for love. And this is what a Bible college degree and 100,000 hours of study get you. And a cup of coffee if you got about $1.50. The first one is eros. That means sexual kind of love. The second one is phileo, which means brotherly kind of love. Hence the city Philadelphia, Philadelphia, city of brotherly love. The third one is agapeo, which is divine love. So the master's not talking about just any kind of love here. He's not saying sexual love. He's not saying brotherly love. He's saying have divine love. Literally, he's saying give the love of the divine to whom? Your enemies. Who are your enemies? Your enemies are those that hate you, that are hostile to you. Someone that is openly hostile, someone that is animated by deep-seated hatred, someone that has irreconcilable hostility, proceeding out of a personal hatred bent on inflicting harm. This is what blows my mind. Jesus the Christ, the Master, the Lord says, I want you to give divine love to these kind of people. If you're from a safe distance and if you're not under their control anymore, first, get out of their control. Love yourself. Secondly, begin to apply divine love to the people that intentionally hate you, that want to destroy you, that can't stand you, that are doing terrible things to you. He says, give them divine love. Ay, ay, ay. And he doesn't stop there. He goes on and he says, pray. What does pray mean? Well, pray means to offer prayer. It means to send energy towards. It means to interact with the divinity on the behalf of. So he wants you to send good intentions. He wants you to interact with the divinity. He wants you to call down favor upon whom? Those that are persecuting you. What does persecuting mean? Those that are aggressively chasing you like hunters, pursuing you as prey. People that are hunting you down. People that are chasing after you. People that earnestly desire to destroy you. You're supposed to give the divine love to people who hate you and are working against you. You're supposed to call down favor upon those that are actively trying to destroy you. And then you're supposed to speak well of, speak favor, speak blessing upon those that do what? Those that curse you. Curse you. And you're supposed to do good. What's a good? Rightly, nobly, honorably. You're supposed to do that way to people that do what? That spitefully accuse you, treat you wrong, say wrong things about you, revile you, and then also those people that are hating you. Hating, detesting, causing you to lose esteem. And it does cause you to lose plain old steam too. So the master says, give divine love to the people that hate you and are trying to actively destroy you. Call down favor upon those that are actively trying to destroy you and are going out of their way to mess with you. To those and bring favor upon those that are cursing you with their words, and those that are saying false and negative things about you, and those that just plain out hate your guts. The master said to do these things. And I got to tell you, it is the toughest thing that I have probably ever done. I'm typing up my next. You will pour burning coals upon their heads. Heap burning coals upon their heads. Sorry, I was a little bit unprepared. That's Proverbs 15:2. So this is probably the hardest teaching, the hardest revelation that I think I've ever received. Because this is real world for me, man. This is real world for me. This is right in my kitchen. Let's look at the chat room real quickly. I think this will bring some clarity. We should probably discuss the circumstances, because in my view, there's certain circumstances that are simply unforgivable. Get to a safe distance and then reevaluate. I'll say it again. Get to a safe distance and then reevaluate. What else we got in here? Clarity would be nice. That's what we're trying to do. The wrong things at the wrong time. We're all human, but sometimes we just need to listen. Jeff looks amazing. Why, thank you very much. It was so good on Sunday. Go watch the Sunday show, Not Your Normal Sunday Show, with myself and Wayne. Shane needs this reminder. He's a delivery driver. He's had some negative thoughts towards his neighbors down on the road in South Florida. Shane, I'm going to be your neighbor pretty soon. Goosebumps. Thank you so much. Empath, saving himself for marriage. Good for you. They'll use you as long as you let them, says Brandy. They put you in the defendant seat. Yes. So that you're defending yourself instead of focusing on their bad behavior, flipping the script. Get out, get out, get out, get out, walk away, go, go, go. And then do what we're talking about from a safe distance. All he's doing is interpreting the Bible, what it actually means currently. That's right. So not necessarily destroying, but imagine that it's difficult to agapeo. Yeah, I can understand that. So, and we will keep reading. So, is it easy? No. Is it comfortable? No. But the master said to do it. And let me just say this before we get to what it does to the enemies. Let me tell you what it does to yourself. It's a heavy burden to walk around with hatred in your heart, with desires for revenge in your heart, with anger in your heart, with everything will be fine if I could just hold their neck for 6 minutes. It's a heavy burden to walk around with that energetic frequency. It's a heavy burden to be in that low frequency. And when you release that and call down favor, I call favor upon my enemies. I call favor upon them by name. I call favor upon my enemies. It releases that low frequency from you, and you're way back up in your high frequency again. It takes that horrible heaviness out of you, and it puts you back into the place where you can interact with your higher self and with divinity. But let's talk about what it does to the people that you call the favor down. What does it do to the enemies? Well, Proverbs 25:22. Let's go back to King James, bless God, because I know some of you don't want to hear anything but that. 25:22 says, it says, and we'll start back up in here in 21, if your enemy's hungry, give him bread. If he's thirsty, give him drink. Now, this obviously is just a physical application. Now, if you have an enemy, you should be giving him bread, but you should be giving him the bread of life, calling favor upon his life. If you have an enemy that's thirsty, give him water to drink. Yeah, you'd probably give him a cup of water, but more importantly, you'd give him the rivers of the water of life, which is the Spirit. You'd give him divine love. You'd pray for them. You'd call down blessing upon them. You'd speak well of them, just like the master said for you to do. And by doing this, you're going to heap coals of fire upon his head. You're going to heap coals of fire upon his head. So does that mean, oh yeah, we're going to get him? He's going to get fire dumped on his head? Well, let's see what it says. In so doing, you will heap. What does that mean? You're going to heap, you're going to take, you're going to snatch up. You're going to snatch up what? You're going to snatch up coals of fire. What does this mean? Coals of fire, coals. It's from an unused word, hot embers. And you're going to put it where? Upon his head. Upon his head, his roche, his head, his face, the topmost part. It's a primitive word. Do you really think that the master's saying if you be nice to someone and you call favor on them, that he's going to dump fire on them? Do you really think he means he's going to dump fire on them? No, he's not going to dump fire on them. I'm sorry. Even though sometimes you wish they would get fire dumped on them, he's not going to dump fire on them. But what he's going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is he's going to bring into the topmost part of that person, into their head. And we think of head as the seat of our mind, and really as the seat of our emotions, and as the seat of our thoughts and intentions. You know, sometimes we think the heart, but it's really the head. So by acting in this divine way from a safe distance, if you're an empath, if you're a highly sensitive person, if you're in an abusive relationship, a manipulative relationship, a controlling relationship, a psychopathic, sociopathic, or narcissistic relationship, stop listening right now. Go back to the beginning and listen from the beginning. Because the first thing you got to do is get free. And it is the crown chakra, as Lit T said, that he's talking about. So what you're going to do is pour coals. What do coals do? Coals aren't flaming. Coals are glowing. And they glow for a long, long time. They just sit there and they just glow and they glow and they glow. So by you putting favor on your enemy, it's going to put something in their head. What is Darty doing? Why is he blessing me? Why is he calling favor on me? And it's just going to stir and stir and stir and stir and stir and stir and stir in their head, and stir and stir and stir and stir in their heart. It's going to just be there and be there and be there and be there. And Wayne says that it makes a great effect. The scriptures say to do it, so I have to believe it's a great effect. I just started yesterday, so I don't have any effects to report. But all I know is that the master said the greatest commandment is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. Of course, you can't love your neighbor until you do love yourself. So you love yourself, you get to a safe distance from a dangerous, psychopathic, controlling relationship. And then from a distance, from a safe distance, you begin employing this alchemical practice of calling favor down upon and loving your neighbors. Maybe the heaping coals purify them, says Sophie Starseed. Thank you, Jeffrey Wizard. Bar Jesus, Jeffrey Wizard. That's funny. And somebody else brings up a good question, or a good statement. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Some of them know exactly what they're doing. Some of them don't know. But that doesn't matter. You're getting yourself free. First of all, you're getting yourself physically free from the being in the location of the relationship. You got to get out. And then from a safe distance, you begin to get yourself mentally, spiritually, emotionally free by releasing the negative, low vibration frequency emotions. And then you begin to call down favor on them. Right now, just because the greatest teacher in the history of spirituality said to do it. And I'm not talking about Wayne. I'm talking about the master, the Christ, the Lord, or the personage that the teachings consolidated around. Because right now it makes no mental sense to me. Right now it makes an alchemical sense to me, but it doesn't make any logical sense to me. But I know that when I did it, I felt much better. I know that having done it yesterday, I feel much lighter, much purer, much happier. I feel like my connection with divine has been restored. And I feel like I'm going to let this work, and I'm going to let this happen, and I'll continue to give you feedbacks and reports. I see that there's some people weighing in with what they think this means. Dump on them the burning passion of the Christos Elohim. I like that. Yes, it will burn them up, and maybe more than just a little even, but the intention has to be to show them love. If the intention is to simply burn them, then it's negative service to self. Right, you're not doing it if your intention is to burn them. Good point, Shane. We all control the size of the cup of mercy we give. Great, Rick. Maybe heaping coals purifies them. Forgive them, they know what they do. It's hard for people to know when they're being manipulated. The inner work helps put all this in perspective. And again, Sandra and I can work with you. if you're in one of those relationships, and we can show you step by step how to get out of it. Dump fire. You light the inner light of fire and the breath of life, the ruach, shikana, and they get shocked and awed literally. Wow, Jenny, that's great. When you dump fire in them, you light the inner light of fire, the breath of life, the ruach, or the shikana. Ooh, you're bringing the Shekinah glory into their life. I like that. And they get shocked and awed literally. Wow, that's amazing. Jay Heidzik says, Jeff, you physically changed and we can see it right here. Bless you for your strength and love. All my personal thanks, Jim. Thank you, Jim. And on Wednesday, I'm starting an 11-day fast. Is it 11 or is it 10? I was thinking today it was 11. Let me look at this. I'm going to start on Wednesday. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on an 11-day fast. I'm going to start on Wednesday, and I'm going to go through the 30th. 20 and 30. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't know how you get 11 days between the 20th and the 30th, but let me count them one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Bible college graduate, not math major, but I'm starting on the 20th. I'm going through the 30th. There's 4 or 5 people that are going to be fasting with me. I'm not going to be eating any food. I will be drinking water, maybe a protein drink now and again, but 10 days of fasting. This follows up the 14 days that I did earlier this month from May 31 through June 13. And this is a 10-day fast. And wait till you see me after this 10-day fast. Wait till you see me physically optimized. Wait till you see me spiritually optimized. I personally think that it's like a sword of truth. It burns all their chakras. I like it. I like it. I think I'm going to do it. The fast. Good, Divinity's Love. Heidi. No, I drink coffee when I fast. I'm sorry. I don't do it that way. I do. And that's the only time I drink coffee, interestingly enough. So just to recap, first, love yourself. Get out of a psychopathic, sociopathic, narcissistic, controlling, manipulative relationship. Get out. Just go. Even if you have to leave your stuff, just go. Then, from a safe distance, begin to practice the inexplicable alchemy of loving your neighbor, calling down favor upon those that hate you, calling down favor upon those that are doing their best to destroy your life, calling favor down upon those that are hunting you down like a dirty, rotten dog, and that's an insult to dogs, trying to kill you and ruin your life. I didn't tell you to do it. The Master told you to do it. Jesus, the Christ, the Lord, Yeshua, whatever you call him, he said do it. And all I can say is 2 days into it, it's changing me, and I'll let you know how it changes the object of my favor. But it makes me feel a whole lot better. And I think it's been transformational in SANDRA in my life. And I hope that it'll be transformational in your life as well. Keep me posted and we'll keep you posted. And in just 1 hour, I'll have Jay Campbell here talking about how to optimize yourself physically and spiritually, talking about the great awakening that's going on. Probably some talk about President Trump creating the Space Force today. And we're going to have a very rollicking time. The Last Stand coming up at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. My hair is a little thicker, isn't it? So that's what we got coming up. I have to move back to this frequency. Thank you so much for this reminder, Jeff. Perfect timing as always. I'm so glad. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. This is New Cosmic Knowledge for Sandra D. I'm wishing you the very best. Thanking you for tuning in. Remember, you're divine, you're sovereign, you're free. And it's time to unindoctrinate yourself. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, an inside job. I'll see you back here in about an hour. Subscribe to Sandra's channel, Sandra D'Angelo. And we look forward to seeing you again real soon.